lot of time on David, and it's just wonderful what Pastor Sharon had to share about activating the dream and speaking words out and making declarations and having these things as the way to actually make your dreams come to pass. In my preparation, I just continue to feel like I need to stay with David. I had sort of planned to move on a little bit, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about David. And the scripture I'm going to read says a lot. It actually speaks to the whole process in one scripture, but there is a lot that is behind the scripture. So let me read it to you from 1 Samuel 17, verse 50. And the scripture says, "So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him. But there was no sword in the hand of David." Now, that one scripture tells a big story. It tells the whole story of how, it's the end result of a whole story of how David arrived, how David, the covenant of God was strong in him. He went to the king. He says, "Don't worry, I'll take on this. I've killed a lion. I've killed a bear." All of those things are reflected in that one verse. So David prevailed over the Philistine. Even if that's just that one sentence, so David prevailed over the Philistine. Now, it's one verse that tells a whole story. And I really want to just address this with you for a minute, because oftentimes people that give you a testimony, and certainly even the testimonies I share with you and the life stories that people have, when you're having a coffee with someone, or you're hearing someone give a testimony at church or in some environment, they will tell you the story in a minute, in 3 minutes, in 5 minutes. And if you have a long time, in half an hour, they will tell you their story. But it doesn't tell the full story. And even though we've read all of these scriptures, if I had to say to you, so David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, that's the result of a lot of things that happened in David's life. It's the result of a whole nation rising up to try and conquer another nation. There's no doubt that the Philistines believed that they could take Israel. And there's no doubt that they believed that their strategy would conquer the strategy of Israel. Take one powerful big man, have him call out the best warrior of that other nation, and then set the rules, set the whole scene to their advantage. There is no doubt they were absolutely certain that this Goliath, this giant of a man, could defeat the best that Israel had to offer. They also believed that their gods that would work with Goliath would be sufficient to conquer the God of Israel and the warriors of Israel. So when I read you this verse, so David prevailed over the Philistine, it's the result of so much stuff. And isn't it that the case with a testimony, that when you have a victory in your life, when God shows up with blessing and favor in your life, it's almost impossible to tell all the details of the way it came about, all of the emotions that you had, all of the doubts from time to time that you've experienced, all of the steps and the journey that you had to take to get to this point. It's impossible almost to describe it and explain it. But the power of the greatness of the victory is not necessarily how other people understand it. It's really about how you have lived it. And it's about how you arrive at the result. That even though you've had some victories, this victory for David was the greatest victory ever. Because even though he killed a lion and he killed a bear and saved his father's sheep, here he's actually saving an entire nation. And so I want to just encourage you, even though you may go through I wonder this, I wonder that. And when you share a testimony, you just can't share the whole story of it, because your victory is in the emotion that you want to quit and you don't quit. In the emotion, I don't want to speak, but I do speak. In the temptation to not go through with it and to quit halfway. So many things come into the story that is told of the victories that we have. And when you reach for your dream, and you have this dream that you really want to reach for, there's so many things that are going to come against you, so many barriers, so many obstacles. I've talked about that before. The story is in how you are living until the dream comes there, till the dream is starting to manifest and is evident. The story is in the details. It's in the power of not giving up until you've reached the place where the dream has come to pass. I hope this is an encouragement to you, and I will share some more with you in our following episodes. Thank you.